It was the fighter that many say won the air war in Europe. Sleek, powerful and feared, with the ability to fly below the arches of the Eiffel Tower, and even spawning a bizarre twin-engine version. Was the P-51 Mustang an inspired piece of engineering, or an overrated fighter, lifted by myth and timing? Today we're diving into the facts to answer one question: the P-51, genius or junk? The North American P-51 Mustang is one of the most recognisable fighters of the Second World War. Sleek, fast and deadly, it became a symbol of Allied air power, but its story is one of contradictions, because the Mustang was not born great. It began in 1940. Britain's Royal Air Force needed fighters desperately. North American Aviation promised a brand new design in just 120 days. Incredibly, the prototype, designated XP-51, took to the skies only 117 days later. Test flights showed speeds of 382 miles per hour at 13,000 feet, a range of nearly 750 miles, and a climb rate of 3,200 feet per minute. For a plane designed in such haste, these numbers were remarkable. But performance statistics didn't mask a serious flaw. The Allison engine powering these early Mustangs struggled at high altitude. Above 15,000 feet, the fighter lost its punch. That limitation meant early Mustangs were relegated to low-level reconnaissance and ground attack. Useful, yes, but not war-winning. Some American commanders dismissed the design as underpowered, unproven, maybe even junk. Then came a stroke of genius from Britain again. Engineers swapped in the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. With the Merlin, everything changed. Top speed jumped to 440 miles per hour, service ceiling soared past 40,000 feet, and with drop tanks, the Mustang's range stretched beyond 1,600 miles. As one American pilot put it, the Merlin Mustang gave you wings that could reach Berlin and bring you back again. That range transformed the air war. Before the Mustang, US bombers flew deep into Germany without escort. Casualties were staggering. Sometimes more than a quarter of crews failed to return. With Mustangs overhead, bomber groups finally had guardians all the way to their targets. German pilots noticed the shift immediately. Ace Johannes Steinhoff admitted when the Mustangs came, it was the end. The air war over Germany was lost. By 1945, Mustang pilots had destroyed nearly 5,000 enemy aircraft in Europe, a staggering contribution to Allied victory. And sometimes the Mustang story bordered on the unbelievable. In 1944, American pilot William Overstreet Jr. chased a German Messerschmitt Bf 109 low over Paris. The enemy dived straight towards the Eiffel Tower. At full throttle, Overstreet followed him through the iron arches of the monument itself, firing as they roared between the girders. The Mustang's guns found their mark, and the German went down. To Parisians watching below, a P-51 dueling through the Eiffel Tower was an unforgettable symbol of defiance. But even legends attract criticism. The Mustang was less rugged than Republic's P-47 Thunderbolt. Its liquid-cooled engine was notoriously vulnerable. One bullet through the coolant system and the plane was doomed. And then there was the odd double-bodied F-82 twin Mustang. Developed in the late stages of the war, it combined two P-51 fuselages and was designed as a long-range escort for bombers headed to Japan. The war ended before it could see combat, but the F-82 did enter service afterward. In fact, it became the very first American fighter to score an aerial victory in the Korean War, shooting down a North Korean aircraft in 1950. Despite this, it was quickly overshadowed by jets, and production ended after just a few hundred were built. The twin Mustang was innovative, but it arrived too late to make the impact. Still, the Mustang endured. In Korea, the original P-51 strafed ground targets, and even tangled with early jet fighters. Outclassed by MiG-15s, yes, but still effective in its role, and long after the war, Mustangs flew in the air forces of countries from Latin America to Asia, proving their adaptability. So, how did it stack up against its rivals? The British Spitfire was agile, capable of razor-sharp turns that saved pilots in dogfights. In a spit you could dance, one RAF veteran said. The American P-47 Thunderbolt was the tank of the skies, heavily armed, heavily armoured, able to take punishing hits and then keep flying. The German Bf-109 was built in huge numbers and in skilled hands, deadly to the very end of the war. The Focke-Wulf FW-190, with its blistering firepower and high-speed dive, was considered the Luftwaffe's finest. But the Mustang balanced all these qualities. It wasn't the toughest, or the most agile, or the most numerous, yet it was fast, versatile, and most importantly, had the legs to reach the heart of enemy territory. So, what's the verdict? The P-51 began as a flawed experiment, underrated, even dismissed. But with the Merlin engine, it evolved into the fighter that tipped the balance of air power in Europe. One American ace summed it up simply. The P-51 was the plane that could do it all, and when it showed up, you knew you'd make it home. Built in a rush, refined through innovation, remembered forever, the P-51 Mustang remains one of history's greatest warbirds. But what do you think? The P-51, genius or junk?